G'day ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Bitcoin video. We made a prediction on Bitcoin a few days ago and we based a renewed plan based on that Bitcoin will go down to that 19.5 to 19.6k level. Over the last 12 hours-ish, we've seen a rejection on Bitcoin, a rejection on the S&P 500. We've seen a breakdown from an ascending wedge formation and potentially the move has begun towards that price level. So we're going to be looking into that. We're also going to be looking into an on-chain chart regarding Bitcoin's correlation to the US dollar, which is weakening, which is very good for the four-year cycles theory, four-year cycles theory's Q4 bottom or January bottom prediction. So lots to look into on the short term and a bit to look into on the on-chain here. But overall, it's going to be a short and concise video. So let's get straight into it. So Bitcoin is overvalued in the short term. In my opinion, it still is, even though we've already rejected quite strongly from 21.6k. We've moved downwards about 1,000 USD or almost 1,000 USD. I do think it's still overvalued on the short-term price action. Long-term price action, you guys don't need a reminder of this. I'm bullish now. I think the bottom is in. I'm holding that opinion unless we break down below 17.7k. The reason why 17.7k is important, in my opinion, is because 17.7k is basically the line in the sand that divides Bitcoin between the two ranges, right? We had the upper range here. I'd consider this the upper range. We had the lower range. We're back into the upper range. We break 17.7k to the downside. We're back into the lower range. So until or as long as we're above 17.7, I do think Bitcoin is bullish. That's a pretty confirmed opinion there that I've had, or an understood opinion I've had for a while. People know about that. I've been speaking about that for about a month. And so yes, so long as we're above 17.7k, we're in bullish territory, but that doesn't change the fact that I can be short-term bearish, and that's what I am right now. I don't think Bitcoin looks particularly strong in the short term. I think that the move that we saw to the upside has exhausted, and this is something I've held this opinion for about 5 days here. We had a zooming in here on the shorter term time frame. In the hourly chart, we had an ascending wedge formation, which represented a shift in that momentum from bullish strength to bearish strength. As expected, that formation there is broken to the downside, and so Bitcoin is trending downwards here. The target, the measured move taken from this wedge formation, taken from the first retest of the top of the wedge to the first retest of the bottom of the wedge, from the breakout point, does target around 19.9k. However, I personally don't see much support in that 19.9k region. The place in which I really see support start to build is actually 19.5k or 19.6k almost. And so I would expect, based on that, Bitcoin to be trending downwards towards that 19.5, 19.6k level. That's my personal expectation, right? What you may find, however, and this is going back to previous cycles, and we can bring up a better chart to look at this actually. What you may find is that Bitcoin could be stopping as high as 19.7k-ish, 19.7, and that is because the 2017 all-time high was in that 19.7k region. So you might find, again, I'm saying 19.5k based on the short-term charts, but realistically it could be anywhere between 19.5 to 19.7, because that is where the top was in 2017. We have the CME gap at 19.8k as well to support that. So again, I'm going to go ahead and further broaden that short-term prediction. Could be anywhere from 19.5 to 19.8. Realistically, it's anywhere in that range there, that mid-1900 range is where we're looking at. Because, sorry, not 1900, 19,000 range is where we're looking at. CME gap at 19.8. 2017 all-time high at 19.7, and at 19.6 to 19.5, we've got a major support zone, which is, stemming from horizontal support. And as well as that as well, at 19.5 and a half currently, we've got the 200-day SMA. So realistically, we've broken down from a pretty important pattern, broken down from an ascending wedge formation. We've got no real support until starting at 19.8k. And for this reason, I've held off on buying Bitcoin. I will be buying Bitcoin once we start retesting those levels. Once we reach the 19k region, so say even as high as 19.9, I might even start buying. Just a little bit more downside I think we have here in the cards for Bitcoin. I've made it myself very clear here as well. I think that if we break above 22k, which is the nearest resistance, right? If we break above 22k before we reach those levels to the downside, I'll happily buy in higher. And I'll admit that I was incorrect there, and I'd admit that the unlikely scenario had played out. But at this point in time, I see us moving upwards as unlikely, and so I'm happy to play my chances here. I'm happy to roll the dice and potentially try and get a lower price on Bitcoin. But I do think that 19k-ish area support zone is strong, and I do think that will be the short-term bottom. As I said, worst case scenario, we go all the way down to like that 18 to 17k level, that green box. That's the absolute worst case scenario. We flip that and then we start heading upwards. That would be the worst case in my opinion. Now, obviously the actual worst case would be dropping below it, but that's the worst case in terms of maintaining a bullish structure. But I think that 19k level will hold for the most part. There's a lot there. There's bull market support band there as well. There's 200-day SMA there. If we zoom out to the weekly chart, we can see there's 300-week SMA. There's quite a lot in that region. But as of right now, I do want to really clarify that fact that the short-term price action is still bearish. I do think we are still overbought, even in wake of this breakdown. I don't think this breakdown has broke down fully enough. I think we've got more downside to see there in the short term. And so, yes, I still long term, my opinion's the same. It's bullish and all that. But short term, yeah, same story here. We've seen a breakdown. I think this is the start of a larger move to the downside. But ultimately, I don't think it will go that low. I think somewhere in that 19k level will be the bottom there, and potentially we could consolidate sideways from that point onwards for a little while. I want to briefly interrupt this video to talk about the Bitget Exchange. The Bitget Exchange has 5 times lower fees than Binance on futures. It has 0 spot fees for spot trading, meaning you can trade spot for entirely free on every single coin. It has a rewards center. It has a protection fund. It has events regularly run. For example, the FIFA World Cup event it ran recently was in partnership with Messi, the famous football player. There are many reasons to sign up using this exchange here, but if you sign up using my exclusive referral link, which you can find a link to in the pinned comment or description, you will get a further 15% decrease on futures fees, and you'll get access to an exclusive reward center in which you can gain access to 4,000 USD in rewards via completing various tasks of various difficulties. Signing up to this exchange using my referral link is by far the best way you can support the channel, and it's the best way you can support yourself as a trader, gaining access to the cheapest exchange on the cryptocurrency market. Now, for my viewers from the United States of America, when you're signing up to the exchange, click on Other as country of residence, as you can see I'm doing on the screen now, and you will be able to sign up and use the exchange. Normally, as a non-KYC customer, you'll be treated exactly the same as everyone else in the exchange. So please sign up using my referral link. Thanks for watching the advertisement. Let's get back into the video. But ultimately, this move downwards on Bitcoin was kind of triggered, I suppose, by the rejection on the S&P 500. We can see the daily candle there in the S&P 500 rejecting strongly off resistance from January 2021. And people might say, well, isn't that concerning? Because, Wolf, you don't think the S&P 500 has bottomed yet. And if the S&P rejection led to Bitcoin going downwards, then surely Bitcoin will be dragged downwards even further by the S&P. What I would say to that is this. Yes, I think that these charts are connected. They're both connected to the same macro. But what you'll notice is that the percentage move we've seen to the upside versus the percentage move we've seen to the downside based on the S&P rejection is inconsistent. And so, no, I don't necessarily think that the S&P will drag Bitcoin downwards into 2024. Now, what I have said in the past a lot is this. The 4-year cycle, in terms of the 4-year cycle, the trend is your friend until it ends. At this point in time, the trend is our friend. At this point in time, the trend has no real invalidation, right? There's no invalidation for 4-year cycle as of current. In fact, it's playing out perfectly. When it gets invalidated, that's the only time in which I can say it's over. You can't predict an invalidation to a 12-year trend. You just can't. It's not based in the fundamental principles of investing. The fundamental principles of investing is you don't try and predict reversals. Reversals are not good for predictions. Even in trading, even in short-term scalp trading in the VIP group, I don't try to predict reversals. I trade based on breakouts. You don't try to catch a falling knife, for example. That's a very common saying in trading and investing. So at this point in time, the 4-year cycle is working, and so I will act accordingly until it is not. But what I will say is this, and this is data that goes against the view that Bitcoin will get dragged down and everything. Bitcoin's correlation to the US dollar since August 2022 has gone from a standard deviation of around negative 3.3%. Negative 3.3, I guess you could say decimal. I don't know what the exact kind of thing would be. So 0.3, I guess you could say, to almost 0.5. So what this means essentially, regardless of decimal places, right, which we can't really see very clearly here, I'm estimating, what we can see is that Bitcoin's correlation to traditional markets is rapidly decreasing as we come towards the end of this cycle on Bitcoin, right? And what this means is that the 4-year cycle has more power, right, is gaining in strength than the macro, Okay, it's very nice to see this because ultimately the whole fundamental purpose of Bitcoin obviously has been alternative to traditional markets and alternative to the traditional system. So the less correlation we have with it, the better. And that's what we're starting to see here. A decrease over a long period of time, over 6 months almost, a decrease in correlation between the US dollar and Bitcoin, which is great to see and does bolster the argument that Bitcoin has bottomed out, because obviously the only counter argument to Bitcoin not being bottomed out, essentially, is the fact that the S&P is going down, is the fact traditional markets are dumping. That's the only counter argument. So it's good to see the correlation go down there. That's pretty reassuring, but we're going to have to keep an eye on that, obviously, over the coming months. And, you know, I do think the biggest threat still to Bitcoin in terms of the bottom, the biggest threat is getting dragged down by traditional markets. I still stand by that. That is the biggest threat Bitcoin faces. But as I said, in this point in time, we have to be, relatively confident in the fact that the trend is your friend until it ends. That's the only thing we can really do. It was our trend, it was our friend here in November 2021, and we have to assume it's going to be our friend here in late November 2022. So let's see what happens there. But ultimately, that's the video. Short term's overvalued. We're still expecting more downside action, and our invalidation point for that prediction is 22K. All right, guys, thanks for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed. Before we end the video, I want to quickly take a look at the Crypto Academy. If you want to learn how to trade, you want to learn how to do analysis in the same way that I did in this video, you can go to the website in the pinned comment or description below. The Crypto Academy Become a Trader 10-unit course takes you from step 1 to the end, right? Step 1 to step infinite onto how to become a trader using technical analysis, using market psychology, using risk management, how to find trades, how to place orders, how to use TradingView effectively. Everything you need to know about trading is in this course, through worksheets, videos, slides, etc. You can find all the information in the pinned comment description below, and chuck us an email here at cryptoacademycourses@gmail.com, and we'll get back to you with a full pamphlet on the course itself so you can make an educated decision. So throw us an email there. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Cheers.